Let's begin. But first, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Sky High Stories. The morning had started like any other, yet there was a sense of urgency she couldn't shake off. She had been called away unexpectedly for a last-minute business meeting across the country, and the thought of packing in a rush left her both excited and slightly frazzled. Dragging her suitcase through the bustling airport, she tried to keep a calm exterior, but her mind raced with 1,000 thoughts: flight times, hotel arrangements, and presentations she hadn't fully prepared yet. The airport was alive with movement. Travelers rushing past, luggage wheels clattering on the polished floor, and the low hum of announcements echoing through the terminal. Families hugged goodbye at the gates, business people strode purposefully in suits, and children ran around under the watchful eyes of harried parents. It was chaotic, yet strangely comforting in its familiarity. Seeking a brief moment of peace, she decided to head to the lounge, hoping a cup of coffee might steady her nerves. Sliding into a leather chair near the large panoramic windows, she exhaled deeply, trying to shake off the fatigue and focus on the day ahead. Finally, a moment to relax before this long flight, she whispered to herself, savoring the warmth of the coffee in her hands. I hope everything goes smoothly, she thought, glancing out at the planes taxiing on the runway. There was no way she could have predicted that this ordinary moment of calm would soon be shattered by a sight that would leave her heart racing and her world upended. She was sipping her coffee, trying to focus on the upcoming meeting, when a familiar figure caught her eye. At first, she squinted, convinced her tired mind was playing tricks. But the more she looked, the more her heart sank. There he was, her husband, sitting across the lounge, completely engrossed in a conversation with a woman she didn't recognize. Her hands froze around the warm cup, and a lump formed in her throat. Is that really him? She whispered under her breath, unable to move, unable to look away. Every detail of his posture, the way he leaned slightly forward, the laughter in his eyes, was unmistakable. He looked happy, carefree, completely different from the man she knew at home. And the woman with him, the way she laughed at his jokes, the casual touch of her hand on his arm, the confident tilt of her head, it was clear they shared more than a passing familiarity. Shock, confusion, and a rising tide of anger collided inside her. Her chest felt tight, her heart racing as she tried to process what she was seeing. Husband, laughing, you always know how to make me smile. Mistress, teasing, and you always fall for it. Just like the first time. Her stomach dropped. Memories of trust, of late-night conversations and shared secrets, flashed before her eyes, now tainted by the stark reality in front of her. Her inner thought, I can't believe this, is this really happening? She sank deeper into her chair, forcing herself to remain unseen, her mind spinning with questions. How long had this been going on? How many times had he lied? And most importantly, what should she do next? The lounge, once a place of calm before her flight, had become the stage of a betrayal she never imagined. Her body pressed subtly behind the lounge partition. She made the conscious decision to remain unseen. Her heart pounded violently, but she knew she needed to observe, to gather the truth before acting. Every gesture, every glance between them now carried weight she couldn't ignore. She watched him lean closer, his voice lowering into hushed tones, fingers brushing lightly against hers. The intimacy was undeniable, a stark contrast to the polite distance they maintained in their own home. The mistress's laughter, soft yet teasing, seemed to echo in her ears. She noted the tilt of her head, the sly smiles, and the ease with which she occupied space next to him. These subtle behaviors, the whispered words, the lingering touches, were like daggers cutting through her sense of reality. Her mind raced. She thought of their years together, of promises made in moonlit rooms, of quiet evenings spent planning a future she now questioned. How could the man she trusted so deeply be this different with someone else? Doubts, fears, and heartbreak collided inside her, making her grip the edge of her chair for support. Overhearing their conversation only confirmed her worst fears. Mistress, we need to be careful. What if someone sees us? Husband, don't worry, no one will suspect a thing. Her inner monologue. How could he lie to me all this time? Each word stung, each glance pierced her like ice. She stayed hidden, silent, yet every fiber of her being screamed that she couldn't unsee what she was witnessing. The betrayal was real, and it was closer than she had ever imagined. She leaned slightly, trying to catch every word without drawing attention. The lounge, once a place of calm, now felt suffocating. Each sentence that floated to her ears was like a knife twisting in her chest. Her husband's laughter, light and carefree, mingled with the mistress's soft, teasing tone. The words weren't just casual. They were deliberate, intimate, and unmistakably familiar. She caught snippets that made her stomach churn. The mention of trips, secret gifts, and private moments hinted at a relationship far deeper than a fleeting affair. Her mind flashed back to late nights when he claimed to be working overtime, to weekends he insisted were for business trips, and now every excuse felt like a lie led atop another. Mistress, I can't wait for our weekend getaway. Just you and me. Husband, I'll make sure she's busy, she won't suspect a thing. The words hit her like a tidal wave. Her chest tightened, and she felt a dizzying mix of disbelief, heartbreak, and rage. How could he plan these moments while she had been sitting at home, believing in their life together? She had loved him, trusted him, shared her dreams, and in return, he had been living a double life right under her nose. Her inner thought, his planning everything behind my back, all this time. Anger surged alongside sorrow, each emotion feeding the other. She wanted to scream, to confront, to shatter the illusion of normalcy they had maintained. Yet, part of her remained frozen, absorbing the betrayal, trying to reconcile the man she knew with the version of him sitting there with another woman. The lounge faded around her. The only reality she could see was the truth, raw and undeniable. Her hands trembled as she clutched her coffee cup, mind racing with conflicting thoughts. Should she confront him here, in front of strangers, or wait until she had a private moment? The temptation to shout, to demand answers immediately, clawed at her throat. Yet, the fear of public embarrassment held her back. She couldn't risk giving him the satisfaction of seeing her unravel in front of the lounge crowd. Flashbacks flooded her mind, laughter shared over late-night dinners, quiet moments of affection, the promises whispered during sleepless nights. And alongside those memories, the times he had disappeared without explanation, the vague excuses, the small inconsistencies she had chosen to ignore. Each memory now felt like a puzzle piece revealing a betrayal she hadn't wanted to believe. Her thoughts spiraled as she silently rehearsed the confrontation. Should I yell, confront him with raw anger, let him feel my pain immediately? Or should I remain calm, composed, and catch him off guard later when I have control of the situation? Dialogue, internal. Do I yell at him now, or wait until I'm alone? No. I need proof first. I trusted him. How could he do this to us? She drew a deep, shaky breath, forcing herself to think clearly. Her pulse was loud in her ears, but she made a decision. She would not act impulsively. She would gather evidence, observe carefully, and confront him on her own terms. The betrayal was staggering, but she refused to let it define her next move. Strategic, deliberate, and controlled. This would be her approach. She watched him laugh one last time, the warmth in his voice now like acid in her ears. Every instinct screamed at her to remain hidden, yet another part demanded action. Taking a deep breath, she pushed back her fear and rose from her chair, steadying her hands and forcing her legs to move. Her heart pounded in her chest as she stepped closer, each footfall echoing the storm of emotions inside her. The lounge, once a blur of travelers and background noise, now seemed to shrink around them, all eyes on the impending clash she could almost feel. She reached the table, her composure a fragile mask over the tremor of anger and hurt. The air was thick with tension, the small murmurs of nearby travelers brushing against her awareness. Whispers, sympathetic glances, even a few stays. The world was watching the unraveling of a carefully hidden betrayal. Her voice, calm yet laced with emotion, cut through the murmur. Calmly, yet shaking care to explain what's going on here. Her husband froze, the confident demeanor vanished, replaced with panic and hesitation. Husband, stammering I can explain. The mistress flinched, caught off guard by her sudden presence. Mistress, defensive I didn't know she'd be here. Her inner monologue burned with clarity and rage. So this is the truth, all these lies. The world felt suspended, time stretching around the three of them. The betrayal, once whispered and hidden, was now exposed, raw and undeniable. The public setting heightened the humiliation, but she refused to crumble. Her gaze never wavered, her stance steady, and her mind sharp. She would face this head-on, fully aware of the devastation laid bare before her. Her legs felt heavy as she stepped away from the table, the weight of betrayal pressing down on her chest like a physical force. Each step echoed her heartbreak, yet with every movement, a flicker of resolve began to spark. She could feel the eyes of onlookers lingering, some sympathetic, some curious, but she no longer cared. The scene behind her, the laughter, the excuses, the deceit, was now a part of the past. Her mind raced as she processed what had just unfolded. Years of marriage, built on trust and shared dreams, had crumbled in a single, shattering moment. How many times had she overlooked small signs, excused absences, believed his words over her instincts? The depth of the deception was staggering, and yet amidst the pain, a quiet clarity began to emerge. Dialogue, internal. I loved him, but I won't let him destroy me. I deserve better. This is the end of pretending everything is okay. She found a quiet corner of the lounge, her hands trembling as she reached for her bag. Thoughts of therapy, divorce, or even legal action swirled, each option carrying its own weight and consequence. She knew the path ahead would be difficult, but she refused to be paralyzed by betrayal. As she glanced back one last time, she watched him leave, flustered and uncertain, the mistress trailing behind. The sight was almost symbolic, a man exposed, stripped of the illusion he had carefully constructed. The betrayal was clear, undeniable, and now entirely hers to navigate. She inhaled deeply, letting the resolve solidify. Her life, though shaken, was still hers to reclaim. Walking through the airport, she felt a strange mix of exhaustion and clarity. The betrayal had cut deep, yet in its wake, a sense of empowerment began to rise. She had been forced to confront the truth, to see the man she loved in a completely different light, and through that pain, she realized the strength she possessed. Her instincts, once doubted, had been right all along, and that knowledge brought a quiet sense of vindication. She reflected on everything she had learned, to trust her intuition, to observe the subtle cues that reveal more than words ever could, and to value herself above the illusions of others. The experience had been shattering, yet it was also instructive. She could now see the patterns, the lies, the manipulations, and, most importantly, she could choose how to respond. Dialogue, internal. I survived this. I will thrive beyond this. One chapter ends, another begins. Her mind wandered to the future. Would she forgive and rebuild, or walk away completely? The decision was hers alone, and for the first time in a long time, she felt a sense of control over her own life. Relationships, trust, and love would remain, but only when they were grounded in honesty and mutual respect. She refused to settle for anything less. As she approached the terminal doors, the airport stretched out before her, busy with travelers, planes taking off, and destinations unknown. Stepping outside, the cool air hit her face, carrying with it the feeling of liberation. The scene symbolized both an ending and a beginning, the closure of a painful chapter and the start of a journey defined by resilience, self-worth, and the promise of new possibilities. With her head held high, she walked forward, ready to embrace the life she would now create on her own terms.